right, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2013 Toyota Prius Advanced. Up front is a 1.8 liter inline-4 as well as a hybrid drive system, and down below is an eCVT. Now I am super excited to be driving this here Prius for a couple of reasons, mainly the fact that I haven't done this generation before, but also at the time of filming, Toyota just recently announced the brand new Prius, which is getting a lot of love on the internet, and this car doesn't get a whole lot of love on the internet, so I'm excited to share it with you today. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackpradel.com, where you can buy stickers and other merchandise when it becomes available. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form. And you could read my behind-the-scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to the hybrid drive system of this Prius. Like I said, it does have a 1.8 liter gasoline engine up front, and it does have a hybrid motor paired to it. And it even has an eCVT. So there's a lot going on, but basically what that means for you is that you're going to get incredible gas mileage. This car, as we're driving right now, normally is getting about 50 miles to the gallon. That's the main reason why you buy the Prius. Now, there is a little bit of worry that goes into buying a Prius this old. This vehicle is almost 10 years old, and that seems to somewhat be the battery lifespan for the hybrid batteries. Now, it's actually not the end of the world because they're decently easy to swap. It'll cost you probably about $1,200, $1,500, somewhere in there, depending on who's going to do it for you. So it doesn't total out the car like it used to do. The other thing I do want to note about the driving experience is the seamlessness between EV driving and the gasoline engine. It switches back and forth depending on what the car needs at the time. However, this is a third generation Prius, and what it does way better than the second gen is that seamlessness. I scared the pants off myself in the second gen because the motor kicked in and I thought the car was about to run away from me. So that's completely gone here in the third gen. At least it's a lot more seamless, and I really, really like that about it. The driving feel is really nice, and we will talk about it later. This does have bigger 17-inch wheels that do play a part in that, but it drives like a normal car. I feel like some people are rather hesitant to drive Priuses or own Priuses because they think it's gonna feel like a weird spaceship. It really doesn't. It honestly feels like a Corolla when you're driving it around town, and that's a good thing in this scenario. With all of that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I don't actually have anything besides a heads-up display on the windshield. That was part of the advanced package, and I really, really enjoy it. It reminds me a lot of the C5 Corvette because it is this sort of 90s green, and I really, really like that. On the steering wheel on the left, I have my volume, mode, phone options, things like that. And off to the right, I do have lane keep assist and other really nice safety features that were involved in the advanced package, including this does come with radar cruise control, which was a part of the advanced package, which is super, super nice, especially for 2013. Some luxury vehicles from 2013 didn't even get radar cruise. So the fact that this car has it, very, very nice. Although the sticker was rather high, $38,000 back in 2013 was not cheap, but still a nice feature to have. The overall look and feel of the steering wheel is very nice. It's decently modern. You can tell it's a little bit dated, but that's okay. Off to the left of me, I do have a climate control vent. Down below that climate control vent, I do have my power mirrors, as well as headlight washers and my gauge dimmer switch. And on the door, I have my lock and unlock, power windows that are all auto. Pretty typical for Toyota to label it that way. Moving into the center, I get this really, really awesome gauge cluster. Now, Toyota has done this in a couple of their products where they put the gauge cluster actually into the center. The Toyota Echo, Toyota Yaris that I recently did, they put it up here, and it's been synonymous with the Prii for quite some time. And I really, really love the green that they use because it looks like a 1980s computer, which I find to be absolutely awesome. I love the retroness of it. Off to the left, we do have a fuel gauge, our current speed, as well as MPG and what gear we're in. And off to the right, I get this really cool energy monitor telling me where the energy is coming from and where the energy is going in the Prius. I think that that's phenomenal. Okay, so I am now discovering the display button does a bunch of things. I don't know how this magic works, but when I do hit display, it gives you tons of really good information. I really, really like this screen. And again, I'm just falling in love with this old green style. It really feels like an old computer, and I love that about it. Also, I will say we are filming this relatively early in the morning, and it has this really nice sunshade, so it's easy to see. A lot of manufacturers forget about that. Also, something really cool is that you can actually change the gas price in that little screen, so it will tell you how much money you spent on fuel throughout your drive. I think that's a really cool touch and something that even modern cars don't do. Down below that, we do have 2 climate control vents and the stock radio. I do get navigation, again, part of that nice advanced package, and you can change the heads-up display settings here. Really, really nice how it is laid out, and honestly, I think it's aged really well for being 9, almost 10 years old at the time of filming this video. And of course, it does have a CD player that is hidden behind the screen. A lot of cars in this era do that. It's kind of a fun little gimmick, but it's cool nevertheless. Down below that, we do get our climate controls. Again, nothing crazy here. Temperature off to the left, fan speed off to the right, and then you get a bunch of where to send it options throughout. There is a really cool button down below here. This actually engages some air filters for the outside in case something is stinky or whatever the reason might be. I find this really cool, and again, not found in many modern cars. Then we have a couple different drive modes and the shifter. So we will talk about the drive modes real quick. We do have EV mode, which will allow you to drive just with the electric motor. However, you can only do this for maybe a mile. This is really going to be used in parking lots. It's going to be used getting in and out of your neighborhood, but don't anticipate actually driving miles and miles and miles in this mode. Then we do have eco mode, which is for better fuel economy. And then we do have power mode, which you do actually get more engine power out of, which is really, really nice from that combustion engine under the hood, which is different than a lot of other vehicles. A lot of vehicles, my Mazda 3 included, sport mode, power mode, whatever you want to call it, is just like a transmission setting, or it just makes you feel a little cooler. This actually does change the mechanics of the car a little bit, which I really like. Then we do have the shifter, which I don't like. I think this shifter is ridiculously stupid because Toyota could have very easily put a regular shifter into it, and they didn't. I don't understand why, because every time I get into a Prius or show someone a Prius, they have to learn how to shift it in and out of gear, and it's just a headache that could have been very easily avoided. So I don't know why Toyota's done this. I'm fine with it now, but back when I started reviewing cars, I used to spit on these things. I hated them so much, but I've grown to be okay with it. Then I do have 2 cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the 2013 Toyota Prius. And unfortunately, in both of them, it fails. The bottle is just slightly too big, or the cup holders are just slightly too small. It wants to go in, but alas, it does not. So it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Then we do get a center armrest and the seats. The seats are decently comfortable. Again, you're not going to be expecting Rolls-Royce seats out of a Toyota Prius, but for longer road trips, they are going to be pretty decent. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a backseat review. All right, so in the back of the 2013 Toyota Prius, and not really a whole lot to note back here. Headroom is pretty good, knee room is pretty good, so checks those boxes. I do get a little center console, 2 fold down cup holders, but that's pretty much it. You're not really gonna expect a whole lot of stuff out of the backseat of a Prius, but it works. Again, the whole running theme of this car is that it just does the job. Let's go hop around the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the 2013 Prius. Just reach under here and pull up. And you do get a fair amount of space. It is a hatchback, which is really, really nice. And you can pull this up, and the hybrid batteries are actually positioned right back here. So if you do have to change them, they're just right there. Other than that, not too many other crazy amenities back here. I do have some tie downs, and I do have a little light over there, which is very nice, but plenty of space here in the back of the Prius. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I do think that the 3rd gen Prius is rather handsome. Now this car has been resprayed. It was originally black, however, it was resprayed with a Lexus black, so it's a little bit nicer, a little bit more flake in it and things like that. If you notice that in some of the sunny shots, that's why it looks that way. I do want to talk about the wheels here for a second as well. The advanced package does get larger 17-inch wheels, which bumps the tires up from 195s to 215s. So that does help out with the handling and drivability of this car as well. Gets bigger wheels, has a little bit nicer of a ride with those bigger tires, and handles well too. And tons of people do aftermarket suspension setups on these cars. There's tons of available parts, which I think is really neat. However, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think finally driving a third generation Toyota Prius? Well, a couple of things come to mind initially. First of all, the driving experience is great, and the ownership experience, from everything the owner has told me, has been good. It hasn't really needed much maintenance, and it gets really, really good gas mileage. The main reason why you buy a Prius. So for all of those purposes, this car is great. However, I do want to talk about the Prius as a brand and as a car. Toyota recently announced the brand new Prius, and it looks fantastic. If the production model looks anything like what they unveiled, I think it's going to sell like hotcakes. However, because of that, it has all of these car enthusiasts saying, oh, the Prius is great, the Prius is great. Everyone is praising the new Prius, which is great. And I'm glad that the Prius is getting its day in the sun. But that doesn't undo the 20 years of jokes and ridicule that these cars have received. These cars are fantastic. Are they the sportiest, flashiest cars I've ever reviewed here on the channel? No, not by a long shot. But that's okay. Not every car has to be a red carpet vehicle. Some cars just have a job to do, and they need to do it day in and day out. And that's exactly what the Prius does. Comfortable, it's smooth enough, it's not going to jostle you around, it's not going to give you a headache, and it's going to save you some money at the pump. And that's all it really needs to do. And it does it flawlessly. It's not a sports car. It's not an off-road truck, although some people have tried to make them into that. It's just an appliance that works and works and works. And honestly, that's all you can ask for from a modern car. If you need a vehicle, if you drive long distances, if you're always at the pump, the Prius is really the way to go. And I'm excited that now that it looks cool, now people will finally start to realize the brilliance of the Prius. They're just realizing it 20 years later. So at least I'm glad that it's gonna get some moment in the sun. Huge thank you to Nathan for letting me take out his Prius. This was absolutely cool to do. I'm very happy I was able to get in the seat of this and slowly finish my line of Prii, of which I've reviewed. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.